am running on the platform of equity, accountability, and transparency. For 22 years, I've been a really involved local resident on a number of issues that have come before City Council and have affected our community. And over time, while I've been extremely involved and very active in trying to really have a voice for the people, I've seen that over time that voice has been really disregarded, squelched, or marginalized.
Everyone brings an integral piece to our campaign, and the result has been us bringing out policies and platforms that have been tailored to the needs of Evanston residents.
This is a moment of opportunity, and to capitalize on that opportunity is going to require someone who can build a broad, diverse coalition, and I'm excited to work on just that as mayor.
So we need to continue the programs that we already have in place, expand them if possible, and just lay out a transitional plan as well as how do we help these residents and how do we get them off the program where they're able to sustain themselves going forward. Whether that's, can we find them employment? Can we work through various programs, non-for-profits, advocacy groups that can help them along the way? What can we do as a city, not just giving them a check, but helping them out?
We need to provide social service network. We need to provide legal assistance. We need to provide administrative assistance. And we should be doing that not just with this and not just because of COVID evictions, but always for our community members. And I think the more we can do that, the more we can get out into the community and talk to the people who need that help, I think the better informed we'll be in making these decisions going forward.
We need to provide basic counseling and support. And part of that, of course, is counseling and financial assistance to residents, but also part of that is helping to counsel landlords away from going to this place of eviction. We have wonderful nonprofit organizations in Evanston, including, for instance, Open Communities, that often is able to help landlords understand that it's not even in their own narrow financial interest to go through the complicated and sometimes expensive eviction process rather than to figure out alternate payment plans.
I'm of the firm belief that Evanston is only so large, and at some point we're going to have to go upwards because we have a small area in proportion to our overall population. So it's important that we plan for the future and how that will look like, but as well as that we have to look at it as a neighborhood by neighborhood basis, that high-rise buildings may not work on Central Street.
In the places that it is properly zoned for them, and that if the developer wants to come in and build something that is to zone and will actually increase our, our property values and increase the benefit to our downtown, then I think that's appropriate. But these things that we've seen are far out of zone and they're just frankly giveaways. And I think that practice absolutely needs to stop.
We need to honestly and with a clear eye assess these potential new developments against the goals that we have as a community. Now, obviously, some of that is about affordability. And as I've said, I think we need to enhance the inclusionary housing ordinance. And I think we need to really be prepared to hold developers' feet to the fire around affordability and prepared to allow them to walk away if they're not willing to do what we think is necessary when it comes to affordability.
There are a number of ways that we can be using our existing housing stock and getting residents who currently live here and are looking for affordable housing into those units before we even ever invite another developer to the table to start talking about building more affordable units.
We have to have in place a clear, intentional, long-term housing plan that starts with an acknowledgement of the affordable housing gap that exists today and then lays out a plan to get there. There's a lot of different parts of the code, including the 3 unrelated rules that are exclusionary, and we have to take a comprehensive look at all of them. I'm not prepared to say, here are the ones we're going to repeal and here are the ones we're going to keep. I think we need a community-wide conversation, but that one absolutely needs to be on the table. I'll also say that while it's on the books, we have, I think, mostly unenforced laws are the worst of both worlds. So to have something that's on the books but mostly unenforced, I think is discriminatory and unwise. And if we're going to have it, we ought to enforce it.
I think that we really need to be listening more to the community, but also using common sense. When we're putting laws in place that have been on the books since whatever, 1812, I think that that's a silly place to start.
I think it's an archaic law that was drafted in the 60s, and it doesn't make sense to have on the books anymore. Advocate in the community that has been there through and through. And that's been a highlight of my campaign since the beginning, is that Evanston residents need a mayor that will be there for everyone, but use their platform to lift up the voices of individuals who haven't had a voice in the past 10, 20, 30 years.
What I most want to do is to bring this city together so that we can focus, knowing that we have important differences, on how to work together to get the bold things that we need to happen done.
Whatever it might be, I think that I would truly be honored if my legacy were more like Lorraine Morton, who was a beloved mayor, who was a woman of the people, who really effected a change and really worked with the community and listened to everyone and impacted their lives positively.